Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Aftershock Corner, Season 1, Episode 5. Now, this is actually going to be the last episode of this show before, the Massasoit Wrestling Corner picks back up again, because, this Friday at 2 o'clock, we are going to be shooting the Massasoit Wrestling Corner. So if you want to catch up on the Massasoit Wrestling Corner from both Season 1 and Season 2, then you can click right up here and you can binge watch all the episodes before the season premiere of Season 3 this Friday. So make sure to check that out. Okay, let's get to this episode though. So yeah, this is gonna be the last episode of this season. But at the end of the video, I will tell you what's gonna happen with this show, and the future of the YouTube channel itself, when it's over. So yeah, so I'm Owen the Birdman Finch here, and I'm here to talk about some great topics for this week. But I'm actually talking about last week's stuff. I'm not talking about this week's stuff. I'm going to talk about last week's stuff. And I haven't seen anything from WWE this week, so I don't know anything that happened. So please don't comment down below and spoil, because I'll probably watch Raw for this week probably when I wake up, because it's like midnight right now. It's gonna be really late once I am done doing this video. So I'm going to be talking about Monday Night Raw from last week, SmackDown from last week, and a couple of news. Some big news from WWE from last week, and then I'll talk about it. So let's talk about the topics. So let's talk about Raw from last week. So let me get to my notes. So yeah, sorry this video is really late, but me and James, the He-Man Hebert, who isn't doing the video because he has to go to school tomorrow, me and James were making a plan on when we were going to do this, but he can never do it, so that's why I'm doing it solo, and none of my other friends can do it because, one, I didn't really want to do it with them because they have seen WWE. I didn't want to take the chance of getting spoiled. Yeah, it's just been tough to do the show. So, let's talk about Raw. So, Raw took place on January 11th, 2016, and it starts off with the pre-show. We get the panel of Scott Stanford, David Otunga, Corey Graves, and now Booker T. Booker T is now on the panel for the Raw pre-show. I think it's fine that he's on the panel. I didn't think he was that great of a commentator. I think he's better on the panel as like an analyst than on commentary. And nothing happens. They talk about, Raw. They talk about the Royal Rumble match, how it's for the title now. They gave their predictions of who they think's gonna win, and then they answer some questions on Twitter that I don't remember. That's about it. I thought it was fine. Then we get the real show itself. We get JBL, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show. And right off the bat, the McMahons come out. And the McMahons, in this case, consist of Vince McMahon and Stephanie McMahon. They both come out and talk, and everybody's on, and pretty much the entire roster, except for Roman Reigns and the Wyatt family, are standing on the stage. And I thought that was kind of cool. And Vince McMahon talks about how how anybody could win the Royal Rumble match, and go on to become WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It makes it really unpredictable because people are gonna want to win the Royal Rumble match. And then oh crap! I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, thank God.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Anyhow, and then they talk about the possibilities, how it could be Dolph Ziggler. He's been wanking his way up the card, so for a while it could be him. It could be the New Day, and then they even do it's a new day. Yes, it is. They do their little chant there, and I think Vince McMahon was laughing because, let's be honest, I'm not being racist here, but if you watch the WWE as long as I have, no black guy is gonna win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the Rumble. Just because of history. I'm not saying it to be racist, but if you know the WWE and you've watched the WWE and you know your history and all that stuff, it ain't going to be anybody that's black. Vince McMahon is not going to let that happen. I'm not saying that he's racist, but it's just not going to happen. I mean, Maybe what happened. Like, you don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to sound racist here, but if you're a WWE fan and you understand how, and you know your history of the WWE, then you know what I'm talking about. Um, and then the Wyatt family video package goes off, and then they teleport on the announcer's table, and Bray Wyatt says, "I have said it all along. Anyone but you, Roman." And then Roman Reigns comes out, walks right past the Wyatt family, and says, "What happens if I win the Royal Rumble match?" And then Vince McMahon says, "Well," Stephanie McMahon laughs at him and says, "Well, that ain't gonna happen." And Vince McMahon says, "Well, yeah, that is a possibility. So we're gonna give you a chance to prove yourself, because tonight because he marks the Royal Rumble as 1 versus all match for Roman Reigns. So he tells Roman Reigns that he's gonna have a 1 versus all match tonight, against like a quarter of the sea of superstars that's standing up there." And then he said it could. Stephanie McMahon says, "Well, he could possibly be facing even your brother, Dean Ambrose." And then Vince says, "Well, that's not happening, because Dean Ambrose, he has a match right now." And then Sheamus attacks Dean Ambrose from behind, and they start the match. Well, it went to commercial, then they started the match, and they actually had a pretty good match. Sheamus dominates a good portion of the matchup. And then Ambrose ended up hitting the 10 beats of the bad on Sheamus. I thought that was cool. And then eventually the match ends when Sheamus just continues to beat the crap out of Ambrose outside the ring, so they never get back in the ring, so they both get double count out. Well, they both get counted out. And then Ambrose throws Sheamus into the steel post head first, and then Sheamus gets busted open, and they're just beating the crap out of each other. And then Kevin Owens comes out, beats the crap out of Ambrose, and walks away. I thought this was cool. I thought this was good stuff. And I like the opening segment here. I like the opening segment with the McMahons and Roman Reigns. Even though I was kind of mad because I knew there was going to be like some sort of handicap match happening later on, because they do that every time. And I did like the match between Dean Ambrose and Sheamus, and the Kevin Owens attack afterwards. So I thought this was good. And then next, Renee Young's backstage trying to get an update on the health status of Dean Ambrose. And then Dean Ambrose just walks right out of the doctor's office and says, and talks about how Dean Ambrose is gonna have Kevin Owens is gonna have to beat the hell out of Dean Ambrose to put him down, and Dean Ambrose is not gonna stay down. And he says that he's on a hunt for Kevin Owens. Then next, the McMahons are backstage. To be honest with you, I don't remember this segment. I don't remember anything that happened, so I can't really judge it. I think they talked about Roman Reigns and stuff like that. And then we get Stardust versus Titus O'Neil. This was pretty much the exact same match that we saw the week before. And Titus O'Neil won again. And then afterwards, he celebrated with the fans. And then Stardust attacks him from behind, takes out his knee, and then that was it. I mean, it just wasn't very good. I didn't really care about it. And then we get the highlight reel with the New Day. And Chris Jericho comes out and he talks about how he's back now in WWE. And now that he's back, he shows us onto the Jerotron 5000 or whatever it's called. And it's improved. All the people talking about, and somebody named Kathy talked about it, says, "I'm glad Chris Jericho's back. Rudy Tooty Booty is now my new favorite saying." And then Chris Jericho talks about how now that he's back, Star Wars ended up selling out. And all these things have happened because he came back. And he says that he's going to save the WWE. And he's going to start by winning the Royal Rumble match and becoming the brand new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And then the New Day comes out because they were supposed to be his guest. And the New Day says that it's rude that you didn't even introduce your guests. And he talks about how rude he is by saying that you don't know, that you left and you don't respect the people that have been fighting every week. And they're mad that they weren't Tag Team of the Year. And they're mad that they call him Rudy Tooty Fruity Booties. And then the Usos come out and they have a bone to pick with the New Day, because why are they calling themselves Tag Team of the Year when they have the Slammy Awards for Tag Team of the Year? And Kofi Kingston's like, we don't know. And then Chris Jericho calls them jackasses, and Xavier Woods says, you can't say that, it's a PG show. And the Usos want to have a match. with them, but the New Day say, well, there's a problem. There's 3 of us and only 2 of you. So then Chris Jericho makes an offer saying, even though he's not in his wrestling gear, that he's still willing to fight, and he makes a match, and he wants the match to be the Usos with Chris Jericho in his corner versus Kofi Kingston and Big E with Xavier Woods in his corner. And he made a joke saying, my back of the bus buddies, the Usos, which everybody got offended about it because he thought he was being racist because back in the old days when if you were black you had to get up and sit in the back of the bus if somebody white came up. And I didn't really see it that way. Maybe it was a racist joke, but I really wasn't offended by it. Just wasn't. I'm not racist or anything like that, but I just didn't really see anything racist about it. So, I can understand why people are mad about it because it is a racist comment to make, but I didn't really think it was offensive or anything like that. I don't really think he meant it like that either. I think he just meant it, because it can also mean too, like back of the boy bus buddies, because a lot of people sit in the back of the bus and they're friends, and the back of the bus is like the most exciting place to be. So it can be meant like that as well. But the match is official. We get that match. Kofi Kingston and Big E with Xavier Woods ringside versus the Usos with Chris Jericho ringside. And I thought this was a good solid tag team match. I really enjoyed it. The Usos looked really strong in the match. They Kofi and Big E dominates one of them, and then the other Uso makes the hot tag, starts hitting all his moves on him. And then Big E shoves one of the Uso that made the hot tag off the top rope. And Xavier Woods comes over with his trombone, starts playing the trombone, and then Chris Jericho comes up, and then he kind of stops and he runs over and runs to the stage. He says, "I'm not afraid of you, Jericho." And then when it comes back from break, Kofi and Big E are dominating an Uso. And then the other Uso gets the hot tag. The Usos start taking out everybody. And then eventually they go for the split. One of the Usos goes for the splash. Xavier Woods gets on the apron. And the distraction is good enough for Big E to take advantage. And then when Xavier Woods gets off the apron, Chris Jericho took his trombone. He blows it in his face. And then he destroys the trombone, which I thought was hilarious. And one of the Usos rolls up Kofi for the win. And then that was it. So they're probably going to, at some point, give the Usos a tag team title match on either a Raw or maybe at the Rumble or something like that. And then afterwards, it was really funny to see Xavier Woods so heartbroken about his trombone. I thought that was hilarious. And I liked it. I thought this was all good here. The New Day just gets better and better every week. And I liked it. I thought they were good. I just don't know where I understand they're trying to do something with Chris Jericho. I don't know what they're trying to do with him. If they're trying to push him to get a tag team title shot with them, or this is just something temporary for Jericho to do until he finds a feud. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. And there's a picture too on Facebook on Facebook, like a meme that shows it shows Xavier Woods in the trainer's room with the trombone, and it says another person on the injury list, or another wrestler on the injury list, which I thought was hilarious. And then next, Paul Heyman and Stephanie McMahon are backstage, and now I remember what this McMahon. So the McMahons were backstage earlier. Now I remember what it was, because earlier in the night, Paul Heyman had come up, and Brock Lesnar didn't want to compete in the Royal Rumble match because he feels like he's already owed a one-on-one rematch, because when he had his rematch before, he had a ton of somebody interfered and he never really got his rightful one-on-one rematch. So Brock Lesnar doesn't have any interest of being in the Royal Rumble match. So Paul Heyman offers that whoever wins the Royal Rumble match and walks out the champion has to defend the belt against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 32. So then the McMahons go to talk about it. And I actually thought this was going to happen, which I kind of would have been pissed about, because then Lesnar wouldn't have been in the Rumble. But I guess it would have made sense in a way, because Brock Lesnar is, the guy. It is like the biggest monster they have and a big force, so it would have made sense in that aspect. I just don't personally wouldn't have liked it because it would have made the match a little bit predictable because you really would have known probably that Roman Reigns would have won just because there was really no one else that would be credible enough to face Lesnar. But then later on, what happens is Stephanie McMahon says no. Paul Heyman even says that this could increase the network subscriptions, increase the pay-per-view buy rates, and Stephanie McMahon says no. And Paul Heyman says, I understand you're in a delicate situation after what's happened to your husband and what happened to your father, what Roman Reigns has been doing to them. And Stephanie McMahon says, well, understand this, that Vince McMahon's your boss, and he owns Brock Lesnar's contract. So tell Brock Lesnar we will see him at the Royal Rumble. So Brock Lesnar is going to be in the Rumble match, which I am really happy about because that's going to make the Rumble look really good, and I can't wait to see what he does in it because he hasn't been one since in 2003. So then it shows the first inductee into the 2016 Hall of Fame. And it was everybody knows by now it's Sting, and everybody's been very vocal about this. Well, I'm going to talk about it first. It shows a video package going through his career in WCW because that's really the only thing they can really utilize. But it's a lot of stuff. It shows his Surfer Sting gimmick, and a bunch of people are talking about it. John Cena, Seth Rollins. They talk about how he was his favorite wrestler as a kid. He was really good with the kids. And Cena talked about him in 1989. He was the face of WCW. Kevin Hart was even talking about him, and somebody from ESPN was talking about him. So it goes through that part of his career, and then it goes through his Crow stint when he turned to the Crow stint to take out the NWO. And they talk about that, how he was the final guy that Hogan had to go through when he went, when he joined up the NWO and they were taking out everybody. And then, and how the change, and they talk about too how he was the final guy to leave WCW. Well, not leave, but he was the guy that stood with WCW. He stood through it thick and thin. He was there all along. And then it shows him actually showing up at Survivor Series, and attacking Triple H, and and then that was it. And there's articles about it, and when it was zooming in on him, it shows that he was in TNA. So I thought that was kind of cool. But I definitely think Sting deserves it because he became a star outside of a mega star too, outside of WWE, without having to go there, without having to be with Vince, and he's just. He was one of the biggest stars of the Attitude, well, I guess of the Monday Night War era, and just the biggest star, I wouldn't say in wrestling at that time, but he was a huge star, and he became a huge star without Vince. Usually, they become huge stars with Vince, and he became a huge star without Vince, and it's Sting. He's had all these accolades, and I think he definitely deserves it. People would say because of his current WWE one, but WWE owns the WCW footage, so technically he can be in it. So I think that's bullcrap. And plus, they have Coco Beware and what's his name? Drew Carey in the Hall of Fame. I think Sting can be in the Hall of Fame. Anybody can be in the Hall of Fame if Coco Beware, who jobbed out. Actually, Sting's at least won matches. Coco Beware was just a jobber, so yeah. But yeah, I am pissed that he never really got a legit run in WWE though. And then we get the Wyatt family versus the Social Outcast, and the Wyatt family cuts a promo, but before they can say anything, the Social Outcast comes out and challenges them to a fight. And it was kind of cool to see Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas on opposite ends in a match, even though they didn't really get to touch blows with each other, but it was still kind of cool. And they pretty much get their asses kicked, so I was kind of getting pissed, saying, okay, this is going to flop. And then Ryback comes out and attacks the Wyatts, and the Social Outcast helped Ryback fold him off. So obviously they're face now. This was pretty apparent. And I still think they're kind of a job squad, but I did like this segment just because they did make the Social Outcast look strong, even though Ryback had to help them. But I did think this was kind of cool. I kind of wish they would do a feud with them and do a match between Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, a brother versus brother feud, even though they wouldn't be able to bring it up, but I think that'd be kind of cool. And then Kalisto gets interviewed, and he's actually facing Alberto Del Rio for the United States Championship, and Kalisto talks about how it's a huge dream come true for him to become U.S. champion. He was fighting all over the world and get to the WWE, but he always thought he was too small, and he was actually considering quitting wrestling. But then he sees how what people have accomplished, like Eddie Guerrero becoming WWE champion, Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble in '06, and then later on going on to win the World Heavyweight Championship. So he says that gave him some faith, and he says that tonight he's gonna be Alberto Del Rio and become the new U.S. champion because he is not a prideful champion. His promo was better, but it was actually better, but not the greatest. But it's a better promo. So then we get the match: Alberto Del Rio defending the U.S. title against Kalisto. Before the match starts, Alberto Del Rio cut to promo, talking about John Cena's injury, talking all smack, saying that he took out John Cena, and he says that we were never going to see John Cena again, which is not going to happen. I guess to maybe build up Del Rio as a strong threat because he was the last one to really touch Cena before he got injured, so that was fine. And I thought this was a really good matchup. I actually think, in my opinion, this was the match of the night. Del Rio dominates Kalisto throughout the first half of the matchup, and then Kalisto tries to make some comebacks. He goes for a suicide dive. Del Rio pushes him out of the way into the barricade, and then he kicks Kalisto in the ribs. And then Del Rio continues dominating. Kalisto goes for a crossbody. Del Rio moves out of the way. And then Kalisto hits a head scissors DDT, which was really cool. And then Kalisto starts hitting his moves. He goes off and does a corkscrew crossbody. He does a face first Hurricanrana, which was really cool. And then he goes for the Salido del Sol, but Del Rio moves out of the way. And Del Rio goes for his finish where he does the double stomp to the shoulders, but Kalisto ducks. And then Kalisto hits a Hurricanrana into a roll up and wins the title. And I was shocked about this. I actually was really happy that Kalisto had won the United States Championship here. I was really happy because I was like, I was happy they were giving Kalisto an opportunity, and it was really cool. And I'm happy they had gotten the belt off Del Rio because he was just a boring United States champion. He did nothing with the championship. And it was a really cool moment to see Kalisto holding the United States Championship. But I'm going to get to that later because they do something on SmackDown that pisses me off. And then Charlotte and Ric Flair get interviewed. I don't remember anything they said. I think they said something about turning on Becky Lynch, how they can't be friends, they're a champion and stuff like that. And then we were supposed to get Brie Bella with Alicia Fox ringside versus Charlotte with Ric Flair ringside. The match never happened. Becky Lynch attacks Charlotte before the match even happened, beats the crap out of her, and referees have to pull her back. I thought this was okay here, just because it was something different to build up the Divas division. And Becky Lynch shouldn't want to wait to get her hands on Charlotte. She should want to get her hands on Charlotte ASAP. Actually, it would have been cooler if she attacked Charlotte during her interview segment, but that didn't. But this was still cool. And afterwards, I think they should have just ended the segment right afterwards. But afterwards, Ric Flair says that Charlotte just got her ass kicked. So they're not having the match tonight because she's not 100%. And then they kind of dragged that out, have a theme song. I think they should have just ended it right after Becky Lynch attacked her, but it was whatever. Made Charlotte look like a heel. And then Becky Lynch gets interviewed afterwards and says that Charlotte promised her that no matter what, they would be best friends when they came to WWE. And then she did the one thing she said she was going to do. She used her father to get success. And then she said that she made Charlotte tap out on SmackDown, and she knows she can do it again. Then that was it. I actually like the promo here. She actually cut a pretty solid promo. And then we get the main event. It's the Roman Reigns 1 versus all match. And the McMahons come out with the Wyatts, it's kind of weird to see the Wyatts come out with other people instead of just themselves. Because I think they should be like, people that don't associate themselves with anybody else, but whatever. But they come out with the Wyatt family the League of Nations. Well, no, not the League of Nations. Actually, they come out with Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio. I screwed up there. So they come out with the Wyatt family, Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio, Stardust, the New Day. Who else? Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, Stardust, Tyler Breeze. Who else is it? Any more heroes I'm missing? Tyler Breeze. Yeah, they come out pretty much with a lot of heels. I think we saw other people. I don't remember who else we saw out there. And Tyler Breeze, you could totally tell they don't really have any plans because he just kind of was just floating around out there. Oh, and he came out. Oh, I forgot. And the Ascension too. They came out with the Ascension, and then kept Vince McMahon explains that Roman Reigns will face each of those guys one-on-one and until he beats them all, but the match also will end until he can't move anymore. He faces Kevin Owens and has a good match with them. I thought it was solid. I thought they had a better match on SmackDown like a few months ago, but this was actually a good match here too. Kevin Owens had his was really strong in the matchup, and he had a senton off the apron, and he super kicked Roman Reigns really well, and then Roman Reigns made his comeback, and then eventually he goes for the Superman. No, he goes for the Superman punch, but then the Ascension get on the apron. He takes them out, and then he takes out Stardust. He takes out Tyler Breeze, and the match pretty much, I guess, gets broken. Just ends because it gets broken down into chaos. All the heels start attacking Roman Reigns, and I like that they had Kevin Owens not lose, but Kevin Owens this is pretty much just Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens because they just had the match the whole time, and I did like the match they had. Too many headlocks though. I think they should have done other moves other than just a headlock, but I thought the match was fine. And then they're just beating the crap out of Reigns, and then Sheamus kicks him, and then Brock Lesnar comes out and acts like he's going to help the heels, but then he attacks the New Day. He hits a belly-to-back throw on Big E, and he just starts clearing the house. He takes out Del Rio. He German suplexes Kevin Owens. He starts brawling with Sheamus, and then eventually he German suplex Del Rio, back suplex Sheamus, and then he helps Roman Reigns up, and then he lays out Roman Reigns with an F5, and then that was the end of Raw. I actually liked Raw. I did think Raw was a little bit boring at times. They did have its boring moments in there, and I think it was definitely, but I do think it was a good show. If I had to rate the show, I would rate it a 6 out of 10. I did think they did some solid stuff in there, and I like the stuff they're doing with Roman Reigns. And if I was to guess, I think at least one of the weeks, Roman Reigns is going to, well, not turn heel, I was going to say, Vince McMahon's going to give Roman Reigns the #1 entry spot, so he has to start the match and go all the way. We'll have to wait and see what they do with that, but I like the show here. Good show, good solid 6 out of 10 show, so Raw was good this week, so let's continue. Now let's review SmackDown. SmackDown took place on January 14th, 2016. We get Byron Saxon, Mauro Ranallo, or however you say his name, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. And Renee Young's backstage, and she said she's going to try to get an update because Dean Ambrose is supposed to come there, and he's going to confront Kevin Owens, and she will update us when he comes. And then Dean Ambrose just arrives. He just arrives in somebody else's car, too, which was kind of funny. And he says that everything that he's going to say right out there, and he's going to call out Kevin Owens for a fight. And then Dean Ambrose comes out. And I actually like this. I actually like that it showed him arriving to the arena instead of him just coming out. I thought that made, at least for something a little different. So he calls out Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens doesn't show. And Dean Ambrose says he challenges Kevin Owens to a last man standing match at the Royal Rumble for the Intercontinental Championship, which I actually am looking forward to that match. It's already set in stone to happen. I'm looking forward to that match. I can't wait to see that match. Those guys are going to beat the hell out of each other, and I think it makes sense for them to be a last man standing match because of all the hell they've been putting each other through, and all the brawls they've been having. And I do think it's going to be a great last man standing match. And then Sheamus comes out. My only concern, though, is actually, though, if they do this last man standing match, is that they won't be in the Rumble. Because they shouldn't be in the Rumble. They should be in the Rumble. But if they're going to have a last man standing match where you're going to be pretty much beating the shit out of your opponent, and you're going to be all bruised up and beating the shit out of you, I don't think they should be in the Rumble, because then that makes them look... Because then they're not selling the injuries they had. But we'll have to wait and see. But anyhow, Sheamus comes out and says that he never finishes a fight because of what happened on Raw. And he says that he's going to become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He thinks it's a joke that he has to have it in the Rumble match. And then Kevin Owens comes out, because Sheamus starts to make his way towards the ring. Kevin Owens comes out and says that he's not out here to help Sheamus by any stretch of the imagination, but he says that he accepts his challenge. But he says, hey, well, since I'm out here, why don't I beat you up? And then they try to beat up Ambrose, but then Neville comes out and makes the save, and then that was it. I thought the opening segment was fine. I actually thought it was a solid opening segment. I like the stuff that Ambrose did, and Owens did, and Sheamus did. And this is leading to a tag team match later between these four guys. And then we get the first match on the show. It's the Dudley Boys versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan with Braun Strowman ringside in a tables match. I liked the match. I thought it was a pretty good tables match. The Wyatt family just teleports to ringside and they attack the Dudley Boys from behind, so they dominate the matchup for a good portion. And then the Dudley Boys start making their comeback. And then Luke Harper gets a kendo stick and starts swinging people with it. And then Luke Harper tries to put Devon Dudley through a table. But then Eric Rowan gets thrown into the steel steps, and then he pushes Luke Harper through the table, and the Dudley Boys win. And I was happy with this because the Dudley Boys haven't really won a match and I don't know how long. I don't even remember the last time they did win a match. So I'm happy that they went over here. Then afterwards, the Wyatt family just beats the shit out of them and, beats the shit out of them and puts them through tables. So I was fine with this. I like the way it was booked here, that they had the Dudleys win and the Wyatts still look strong. Because, I guess you could say, what's the point of having the Wyatts lose? The Wyatts have been kicking the Dudleys' ass, and the Dudleys need a win, at least, and the Dudleys haven't won a match, and I don't remember how long, so it'd be nice if they won a match for once, so I'm happy they went over. It was good. The match itself was pretty average, but I like the way it was booked. And then Kalisto gets interviewed, and he talks about how he's going to be a fighting champion as United States champion, because they're having a rematch between Alberto Del Rio and Kalisto for the belt tonight. And then we get the Social Outcast versus Damian Sandow, Goldust, Jack Swagger, and Zack Ryder. So pretty much Job Squad versus Job Squad 2.0. And it was nice to see Sandow back on TV again. I really wish that they didn't drop the ball with them, but they did. The match was okay. And Bo Dallas hits a Bulldog on Zack Ryder for the win. And he accidentally knocks Heath Slater off the turnbuckle, off the apron, which was kind of cool. But anyhow, that was it. It was just kind of there. And then we get Alberto Del Rio interview, and he says that he's going to win back his U.S. title tonight. He's going to hurt Kalisto. And he says that his win on Raw was a fluke. So then we get the U.S. title match between Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio. I like the match. It was actually a really solid, a really good match. I would say maybe this was the best match they've had. Del Rio works over the arm of Kalisto throughout much of this matchup, and then Kalisto hits all his high-flying moves, and he goes for a Salida del Sol, but he counters it, and then Kalisto tries to pin him the way he beat him on Del Rio on Raw, but Del Rio kicks out of that. And then Ken Barrett had made his way out to the win, and for some odd reason. And, well, I mean, I understand they're partners, but why? He just kind of appeared out of nowhere from the match. And then Del Rio gets Kalisto on the cross arm breaker. Kalisto's able to get the ropes, and then Del Rio accidentally falls outside the ring. Kalisto goes to dive on him. Barrett pushes him out of the way, and then Del Rio gets him back in the ring, puts him back in the cross arm breaker, and Kalisto taps out. Del Rio's the new U.S. champion. Why? Like, why is Del Rio the U.S. champion? Doesn't make any sense. For a number of reasons. One, he was a born champion. And like, why do they continue to put championships on him? He's a born United States champion. He does nothing with the belt, and it's just stupid. He does nothing with the championship. He didn't do anything with the championship when he had it. He never defended the thing. He never was it. He pretty much made that championship meaningless after John Cena made it relevant again. And then, like, what was the point? Like, you have Kalisto win the U.S. title. It's supposed to be this big feel-good moment. And, Kalisto, you know, you have him have a big push, and then Del Rio just beats him the next night. It was a waste of time. And then, it was just stupid. And then you have, Del Rio, because he's just born as United States champion. I think Kalisto would have been a better United States champion. And why did they take the belt off him to begin with? You know, why did they take the belt off Kalisto? Kalisto would have been a good United States champion. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, I can understand maybe because it make Del Rio look bad if he lost 3 straight times to Kalisto. Or maybe if he didn't do the match on SmackDown, then, you know, just stupid. I mean, I can understand too because then it improves SmackDown's rating because then they say, hey, a championship changed hands on SmackDown. Anything can happen on SmackDown. But it makes the championship look meaningless if they just flip-flop the thing back and forth. You have Del Rio, you have Kalisto win it, and then he just loses it pretty much a day later because SmackDown's taped on Tuesdays. But 3 days later, that was so stupid. Ugh. And then, obviously, if they have a rematch, Del Rio is going to win again because then it's going to be even stupider and a waste of time if Kalisto just wins the championship right back. If you want to do something, build a feud out of this. Do something at WrestleMania. Where you have Kalisto win a tournament and Del Rio and Kalisto just feud for the U.S. title. I'd be fine with that. But anyhow, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's stupid anyways. They already ruined this. If they really want to do something, do a 2 out of 3 falls match for the title at the Rumble. If you want to do something there, but it's just stupid. And then Becky Lynch gets interviewed, and I think she pretty much cuts the same promo that she cut on Raw, but I don't remember. I don't remember if she has a title match yet, though. I mean, I'm assuming they're doing that match at the Rumble, but I don't remember if it's, you know, for the title. And then we get Brie Bella with Alicia Fox versus Becky Lynch. Seems like the only matches we see is either Brie Bella versus Becky Lynch or Charlotte. Those are the only matches we see because the Divas division is just crap. The roster's crap. I mean, let's take a look at the roster. You only have these 4 divas, I think. I mean, I know you have other divas, but right now, currently active, you got Brie Bella, Alicia Fox, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. So that's just weird and stupid. But anyhow, Becky Lynch wins with the disarmer. I mean, they wrestle so often that I'm just sick of seeing them wrestle. But the match was fine. And then we get the main event. We get Sheamus and Kevin Owens versus Dean Ambrose and Neville. I thought this was a solid main event here. Dean Ambrose the heels put the heat to Dean Ambrose for a while, and then Ambrose hit the tornado DDT on Owen, so then he's able to make the hot tag on Neville, and he goes for the red arrow, but the heels stop him, and then the heels get the heat on Neville for a while, and then Dean Ambrose gets the hot tag, he starts going off on everybody, and then eventually Owens and Sheamus beat the crap out of Ambrose, and Ambrose takes the top of the announcer's table, hits him with it, so Ambrose and Neville win by DQ because he used a foreign object, and then Owens is about to put Ambrose through the announcer's table, but then Neville dives on Sheamus and Owens. And then Dean Ambrose hits a Dirty Deeds in the ring on Kevin Owens, and then Neville hits the red arrow on him afterwards. And then that was it. I thought it was a fine match and a fine way to end off the show. I kind of wish Sheamus and Owens had just won the match clean, just because Sheamus hasn't really had a big win in a while, and Kevin Owens, yeah, he's looked dominant lately, but it would have been nice. It would have been a nice way to build up to the Owens and Ambrose's title match. And hell, you're not really doing anything with Neville anyway, so what is it going to hurt if I have Neville get lost in a pinfall? But whatever. Overall, SmackDown was okay this week. I actually did enjoy the show. I thought it was a solid 6 out of 10 show. This was an improvement than what they had been putting on. I did like the match between Kalisto and Del Rio. I just hated that Del Rio won because it doesn't make any sense. I like the Dudley Boys versus Harper and Rowan, and I like the main event. So overall, I like the show. And I wish we got more SmackDown. And I like the opening promo segment. And I actually wish we got more SmackDowns like this. I thought this was a good show. So yeah, that's it from the WWE reviews. How far am I? Oh wow, I'm not even that far into this. So now I'm gonna go over the recent news updates that's been going on with WWE over the past week. So let's talk about them, shall we? So this article came out on January 13th, 2016. And it says, and I'm going to post it in the description box in case you want to see it. And it says, WWE rumors. WWE releasing Daniel Bryan next week before the Royal Rumble. And that was written by Danny Cox. I actually have a friend who has Melissa Cox. I wonder if they're related at all. Anyhow, it's random. But anyhow, here's what the article says. And like I said, I'll post it in the description box. In the case of one of the in the case of one of the strangest rumors that has come out of wrestling in quite a long time, it's hard to believe that this is even some semblance of truth. Well, that there is even some semblance of truth in it. To it. Daniel Bryan has dealt with injury after injury over the past 2 years and hardly been in the ring at all. That said, everyone thought that he would be coming back someday, but that may not happen. Rumor has it that WWE is planning on releasing Daniel Bryan next week before the Royal Rumble. Again, this is nothing but a rumor and should be taken with a huge grain of salt. Still, it's out there, and stranger things have happened. So yeah. So I'm gonna continue, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end. And then it says, Kegside Seat is reporting that there is a weird rumor going around, and honestly, it is really weird. There's a rumor going around, apparently from Scott Keith's blog of Doom, that WWE will be releasing Daniel Bryan next week. Oddly enough, this rumor comes out just one day after Daniel Bryan got on his Instagram account and once again teased the fans about an in-ring return. It showed him working out, lifting, and always hoping that the answer to his question would be, yes! 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 And then it continues. Bryan has been doing whatever he can to try and get back into ring shape, but he likely was never out of it. After suffering serious neck injuries each of the past 2 years, he was cleared by outside doctors, but couldn't be cleared by WWE doctors, which I've talked about before on this channel. Either me or other people. And then continuing, the primary reason for that isn't so much due to his neck issues, but more because of the concussions he has been suffering. Well, he has suffered. Bryan was actually even sent home from a European tour early in 2015 and then ended up relinquishing the Intercontinental title he had won about a month and a half before. Looking into things further, the report on Scott Keith's blog of Doom comes from an anonymous tipster who was right on the late 2015 hiatus of John Cena. That same tipster was wrong about the Daniel Bryan supermarket meeting, so he's 1 for 2 in his tips so far. Apparently, this tipster states to work in WWE HR, and according to the report, the date of the improbable deal is January 18th, 2016. This is going to be hard to believe, and you're going to get a lot of nut job. So this is what the guy said. Nut job writing every day, but I work in WWE HR. I'm not high up the totem pole by any means, though. So on Friday, one of my coworkers had to process a release, and that release was for Daniel Bryan. Monday, January 18th that was is the date that is listed for when the deal is processed. Not sure exactly why. My coworker was very quiet about the whole thing, other than letting a few people know. Honestly, that is extremely hard to believe, but it is something that people have to at least consider and see if it comes true. Um, and then it continues. Should Daniel Bryan actually get released on that date, it will be the day of the last Monday Night Raw before the Royal Rumble. That means he will be released from WWE less than a week before the pay-per-view, when many believe he may make his surprise return. If Bryan is released and is cleared by doctors, he has a lot of options, such as TNA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling, Ring of Honor, or the Indies. As to WWE not clearing him for wrestling ever, well, they would want to keep him around as an ambassador, but he may not want that. If other doctors will clear him, he would want to continue his in-ring career and maybe request his release to continue it elsewhere. The company may be willing to grant him that, but likely not in a thrilled way. This has got to be one of the strangest yet biggest rumors that has come out of the wrestling mill in a long time. Not only is WWE releasing Daniel Bryan one of the most absurd things to think about, but the timing just seems all wrong. For now, though, everyone will know more within a week, and then that was it. Then they kind of just ended it. So just to kind of give my thoughts on this, because I'm not sure if it's happened, and I can't really, because I'm just kind of mad because Daniel Bryan's healthy, but I just gotta be on. I'm gonna look at their side of this and just say this: that remember what happened last time he came back. It was too early for him to come back. But it's just at the same time, just let the guy wrestle. If he's cleared by other doctors, I understand you got clearing programs, but just clear him to wrestle. And don't even have him work on a full-time basis. Have him work on somewhat of a full-time basis. Maybe have him not wrestle every week. I don't know. But yeah, it's just going to suck if he gets released because everyone's going to be pissed. In a way, it's going to be kind of funny just to see how all the Daniel Bryan fanatics react because they're going to be pissed. They're going to be canceling the WWE Network subscriptions, and they're going to break the page. And it will be funny. But, I understand why they're pissed, but it will be kind of funny just to see how they react. But I don't know. Maybe it's best because I don't know if they really see Daniel Bryan as a top guy, really. Because when he finally did win the title, they didn't really promote him like he was a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. They kind of had him go back on the back. They had him kind of go on the back burner. So I just don't really think they see him as a top guy, really. And if he does come back, they probably aren't going to put the title on him. They'll probably have him be in the mid-card or something. So, yeah. Maybe it's best he does go to these other places, like Ring of Honor, Global Force Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, maybe even TNA, maybe. That's kind of an iffy because lately TNA just doesn't make any sense. Maybe it's best that Daniel Bryan goes elsewhere and while he still can wrestle instead of wasting his time waiting to wrestle in WWE because they're probably not going to have him wrestle anymore. So it's a big debate. We're going to have to wait and see. But no, we don't have to wait and see for long because people are commenting about this. And it's important people that know stuff about the situation. So let's talk about these people. I'm on the same website. So, this was written on the same day. It's WWE rumors. WWE responds to rumors of Daniel Bryan being released next week. So, I'm going to read this on. Wrestling rumors are nothing new, and many of them never end up coming true or having any solid information behind them. when a huge rumor comes out about a big talent like Daniel Bryan, though a little more attention needs to be given, a rumor has started going around that Bryan is going to be released next week due to his injuries. But WWE has seemingly become fed up and actually responded to the info going around. And then it says, as a reporter by this website I'm reading it off of, I can't pronounce, Enquista, I think is how you say that. The rumor states that Bryan is going to be released by WWE on Monday, January 18th, 2016. This is less than a week before the Royal Rumble event, and right as the company is truly starting its road to WrestleMania 32. One thing I didn't say, too, about this is it kind of sucks that it's doing now, because they need the star power. They don't have their star power. A lot of their guys are injured. A lot of their top talents are injured, and they need Daniel Bryan. They need to bring Daniel Bryan back because a lot of their top stars are getting injured, and they don't really have a lot of top full-time guys right now. So they need to do something to bring back. So Daniel Bryan would definitely be it. And it would kind of, let's see what happens. But it says, WWE has now come out and said that there is no truth to all these rumors. Wrestling Inc. says that a message was sent to them on Wednesday morning from a WWE spokesperson. And this is what this says. It says, there was no truth to this letter from a supposed WWE employee. As for the letter that WWE mentions, well, that is where things could get really ugly if it actually did come from someone with the company. And continues saying, the rumor started on Scott Keith's blog of Doom, where a supposed anonymous person that works in WWE HR sent him a tip. That tip states that he was told by a coworker that she has to process a release, and it was for that of Daniel Bryan. And then this is what that person said in quotes. Monday, January 18th is the date that is listed for when the big deal is processed. Not sure exactly why my coworker was very quiet about the whole thing, rather than letting a few people know. About to be honest, she didn't let me know. I'm not sure in her inner circle. I just overheard her telling someone else, and she was in shock. The tipster told Keith that they weren't exactly sure why the release was being processed for a full week away, as they are usually written up for the day they were executed. The tipster also went on to say that his co-workers seemed very shocked by the entire situation. And then it says, well, who wouldn't be shocked by the idea of WWE releasing Daniel Bryan? Bryan has been on the shelf since May 2015 with numerous injuries, including neck problems and a number of concussions. He missed a major portion of 2014 as well, with similar injuries. Some have wondered if he would ever actually be able to wrestle again. I've wondered that myself somewhat. Daniel Bryan has been cleared by a couple of doctors and even told he could return to the ring. The primary thing to remember, though, is that WWE's doctors, a third overall, has not cleared him. He can't get back to wrestling for the company until that happens. I've already read this stuff to you, so I'm just reading it again. Some validity has been given to the reports from Scott Keith, as the same anonymous tipster / WWE employee correctly reported John Cena's hiatus in late 2015. Still, the thought of WWE releasing Bryan is one that's rather hard to believe, but anything is possible. It's just hard to imagine that WWE would release Bryan even if he can't ever wrestle again. They would likely want to keep him. Hold on, I'm going to plug my computer in. Hold on one second. Okay. They would likely want to keep him on the TV appearances as a WWE ambassador for social media and other things where he could generate interest. The thing is, if Bryan is cleared to wrestle by doctors outside of WWE, but WWE won't clear him, he may request his release if granted. He could then continue his in-ring career elsewhere without having to worry about sitting on the sideline. Then again, WWE could be planning Daniel Bryan's release soon, but have now changed their minds due to the new leaking. Maybe they've just postponed it. Maybe there really is no truth to the rumors of WWE releasing Daniel Bryan, but nothing can be done now except to wait and see what happens. So yeah, pretty much the same stuff I just read. So yeah, I'm gonna wait and see what happens. I wonder if this is maybe all just a swerve to have us even so that way fans will be even more surprised when Daniel Bryan returns to WWE, because I think he may return at the Royal Rumble this Sunday. So I wonder if that's what they're doing here. But we're gonna have to wait and see. I hope he does come back. I really would like to see him wrestle again. And hell, I would like to see him be WWE World Heavyweight Champion again, even though, you know, he was injured before. Maybe this time make sure that he's 110% and make sure that he can wrestle again. But we're going to have to wait and see. One time will only tell. Because hell, you know, we may... I feel like if he's not at the Rumble and we don't see him after WrestleMania 32, we don't hear anything from him for a while, then I definitely will know it's true. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Daniel Bryan. And I am a huge fan of his. I like Daniel Bryan. I'm a huge supporter of his. I really popped when he won the title at WrestleMania 30, so we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm not done yet, though. There's one more thing I got to read, and then I'll get out of here. So then, let me get to that part. So, the next article was called Hulk Hogan speculated to make WWE return in 2016. Let's read this one. So this one isn't too long this time. Brian Alvarez said on a recent edition of Wrestler Observer Live that he is hearing a lot of speculation that Hulk Hogan could be brought back to the WWE in time for WrestleMania 32. Hogan is currently in the midst of a legal departure with Gawker, who recently leaked a sex tape with Hogan, which I talked about before. Scripters were later released from the tape, showing Hogan using racist and homophobic language. This ultimately led to WWE firing Hogan as their ambassador and removing him from their website and programming, and pretty much forgot about him. Like, pretty much it's like Hulk Hogan never existed. Hulk who? Who's Hulk Hogan? Hulk Hogan? Yeah, stuff like that. But anyhow, Meltzer added during the show that he wouldn't ever rule out a Hogan return to the promotion, but he believed WWE isn't going to rush bringing him back into the fold due to potential backlash, which I've talked about before. Now, as for that possibility of Hulk Hogan returning to WWE, that would be kind of interesting, just because I would like to see, one, it'd be cool to see him back again. You know, a good portion of the WWE's legacy is gone because Hulk Hogan, you know, helped the 80s. And they're not really mentioning the 80s now, because Hulk Hogan was the 80s of wrestling, pretty much. He was the 80s of WWF at that time. So, you know, that's just how it is. So it'd be kind of nice for them I actually would kind of wonder how people would react if Hulk Hogan came back on WWE television again. Especially, too, if they want to draw attendance records at WrestleMania 32, and they want to make something really cool. Imagine the reaction when you see Hulk Hogan come out at WrestleMania 32. It'd be a really nice WrestleMania moment. And it'd be cool to see the reaction, because I just would wonder, you would have some fans cheering. Some fans probably would be pissed off because of his sex tape. And then some fans would be happy to see Hulk Hogan back in a wrestling win, but would be pissed. It would be awesome. But we'll have to wait and see if Hulk Hogan is coming back to at WrestleMania 32. In fact, don't even announce it. I think it should be an absolute ultimate surprise if you see Hulk Hogan back in a wrestling ring at WrestleMania 32. I think it should be an absolute surprise, and that would be awesome if you saw Hulk Hogan come back at WrestleMania 32. Everybody would explode. The arena would explode. But let's see, because people have been commenting about this. We're gonna start with Hulk Hogan. He addressed this because this article is called Hulk Hogan addresses rumor of a possible. Hold on. Hulk Hogan addresses rumors of a possible WWE return in time for WrestleMania 32. Has he had talks with WWE? And then there's more stuff about that. So then it says, as noted, there has been speculation that Hulk Hogan might be returning to WWE in time for WrestleMania 32, and Hogan took to Twitter recently to address the rumors. So this is a Twitter name. It's called Marvin Massey. His Twitter name is @Marvin/Massey, and it was taken. The tweet was sent out on January 17th, 2016. And it says, just hearing a rumor that @Hulk Hogan may appear at WrestleMania has got me pumped. Can I get an RT on my bullion son brother? And then this is Hulk Hogan, and it says @Hulk Hogan. That's his Twitter name, and then it says @Marvin Massey. Sorry, Marvin, but I don't work for WWE anymore, and I have not had a conversation with anyone about WrestleMania. I'll be there in spirit, and then he writes HH. And that was one that one was sent on January 17th, 2016 at 11:34 a.m. So he pretty much responded to his tweet. And then another tweet called Bring Back Hogan, and it was taken on January 16th, 2016. It was sent out, and it's called, and the actual tweet is called @Return Hulk Hogan, and it says @Hulk Hogan. Serious question: have you @Vince McMahon spoke since you left the last summer? Are things gonna change? And then Hulk Hogan responds, @Return Hulk Hogan. I have not talked to anyone since the WWE fired me, my brother. And he sent that on the same date, at 1:46 p.m. And then WWE Fan 21 sent this on January 17th, 2016. It's called @MikeCool29. @Hulk Hogan. I hope it's true that you're coming back to WWE. If it's, I think he said, I think it's supposed to say true, but he wrote "ter." I'm buy a ticket to #WrestleMania. And then Hulk Hogan responds, at this moment, I'm not coming back, HH. And he wrote that on the same date at 10:07 a.m. And then that was it. So, we don't really know. Hulk Hogan could be lying, though. He could just be trying to keep kayfabe, and he's trying to keep it a big surprise. So we don't know. We really don't know. But we don't know. But that's Hulk Hogan's reaction to it. And then here's the other person that's reacted to it. The most important people. WWE officially comments on a potential Hulk Hogan return is the name of the article. And the article says, as noted, Hulk Hogan's appeared on ABC's Good Morning America today. And during his appearance, he apologized for the racist remarks he made years ago, which only they went public resulted in WWE terminating Hogan's contract. And then it has like a place where you can watch his apology. The Hollywood Reporter covered Hogan's appearance on the show this morning and noted they reached out to WWE and asked if Hogan's apology would have any bearing on a possible Hogan return to WWE. At this time, the WWE remains steadfast in its decision, was the official response WWE gave to the Hollywood Reporter. And that was it. So I don't know what that means. I have to look that state. Just gotta look what that means real quick, because I don't know what that means. What the hell? Hold on one second. It didn't paste it. Oh crap! Just give me a second. Okay. It means. Okay, so they're doubtful. They're not doing it pretty much. So it may not happen. It may or may not happen, but like I talked about before, WWE, why are you offended about Hulk Hogan's racism? Because Hulk Hogan, yeah, he was racist, but you've been racist. You have a ton of history showing you racist. I can name a bunch of them. You had the owner of the company, Vince McMahon, went on WWE national television and said the N-word. And in front of Booker T, who was also black. I mean, you've never had a fully black WWE champion in your company. I don't count World Heavyweight Champion when they had Mark Henry and Booker T holding it. I don't count when the Rock holding it because the Rock's Samoan. This same company fired Alberto Del Rio for when he was when someone was making racist comments at him and he just defended himself. They literally called Dusty Rhodes' lady Sapphire. And they literally had the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, buy her off like she was a slave. Hell, the stuff they did with Virgil, that was racist. They literally had him as a slave for the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. You have people like R-Truth rapping and driving and dancing. What else you got? You got so many racist shit that you've done. You even joke about it, So WWE kind of isn't the greatest when it comes to racism. Why do they give a shit? The only people, they have never really had anybody non-white hold their main belt, except for Eddie Guerrero, and that's probably it. Maybe Rey Mysterio. So it's like, get with the times. You never had an Asian hold the belt. You never had anybody like that hold the belt. You never had anybody, pretty much a white Caucasian man. That's the only person you had hold your main belt. You never had a black guy hold it. Anybody. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyhow, I'm going to sign off now. So anyhow, thank you guys for watching this video. Now, I did say this is the last episode before the Massasoit Wrestling Corner returns. However, I don't think it's going to be the last episode completely. Because I talked about it with James, and but after we finished episode 4, which you can check out up there, and we have a schedule we're gonna keep. We'll talk about it a little bit more on Friday, but this is how it's gonna go right now. We'll talk about it with everybody else and say if it's official. But what's gonna happen is Mondays we're gonna do the Retro Wrestling Review series. And then Wednesdays will be the Aftershock Corner at a certain time. And then Fridays will be the Massasoit Wrestling Corner. Obviously, the schedule is going to change up a bit because of pay-per-views. So probably we move the Massasoit Wrestling Corner to Mondays and then the Aftershock Corner to Wednesdays and stuff like that. So, then that you got that kind of stuff going on. So we are going to keep it. We are going to try to keep it fresh. We're going to try something new this semester. Because and it's something new, if it doesn't work, then we won't try it out. But thank you guys. I know this show didn't get off on the greatest start. We had stuff like Google Hangout glitching on us and constant interruptions from people. So we're gonna try to make this show better. In that exchange, I hope it can happen, but I'm not exactly sure just because of the way Google Hangouts been acting lately. So we're gonna have to wait and see. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. You can subscribe to this channel for future content. Check out the Massasoit Wrestling Corner, the Aftershock Corner, Retro Wrestling Review Series, and I'll see you guys next week.